I'm back with another mega physical media ranking video for you all. Today I'm ranking my top 9 1994 movies. Yes, taking on the Rad 9 challenge. I was super excited when I heard about this challenge because this was the year I came into the world. So very important year for me, and I can't wait to rank all these movies. And I do have some honorable mentions at first as well. But before we get into all this, of course, you love collecting physical media just like me, being a part of this amazing league of mega film fans. Go ahead and mega smash that like and subscribe. That way it can keep you entertained and up to date on all future physical media topics. But let's get into this ranking video with the honorable mentions real quick. Here at the bottom, we are going to have Natural Born Killers as one of the honorables. I just watched this one recently for the first time with Robert Downey Jr., Woody Harrelson, and it was pretty wacky and wild, a little bizarre. It took a while to get going, but by the end, I really appreciated the artistic style of the movie. So it was definitely a decent watch. Just couldn't make my top 9. Same with this one, another recent watch, The Shadow with Alec Baldwin. It's a superhero kind of fantasy adventure tale, kind of think an Indiana Jones in a way. So this movie's decent overall, but once again, not enough to make the top 9. And then last at the honorables, we are going to have My Girl 2. Yes, the sequel. I know it's not as great as the first one, of course, but I still think the second one has a charm to it, a coming of age story I can always appreciate. So, yeah, My Girl 2 there with the honorables. All right, now let's get into the banger list of the top 9 right here. Can't wait to get into this right here at the bottom here, which I guess you could say then is number 9. We are going to have Ed Wood. Yes, Johnny Depp. And this was such a fun, whimsical movie to look at. It's directed by Tim Burton. It's in black and white, but once again, it's a 94 movie, but it's pretty much about that director who made the Plan 9 from Outer Space movie, who was just so kind of full of himself and thought he was, I guess, an amazing director. It would make these really low budget, kind of bizarre, just not well received movies, but he was so confident in them, which just gave a sort of charm to the movie. So I do really appreciate this one, especially the scene where the guy's wrestling the octopus. You're like, what the heck is happening right now? But it's so funny. It has that dark comedy to it all. So definitely check out some Ed Wood. All right, next up, we are going to have, let's see, The Paper. Yes, and this is the Mill Creek edition right here, but you got Michael Keaton in here, but pretty much about a newspaper organization. And you think it might be boring, but it's really dramatic and thrilling where it's like, okay, they got to get these news stories out on time. They're on a time crunch here. It's a whole team working together, leads to some dark comedic moments. So yeah, definitely can recommend the Mill Creek edition one because actually this one does come with a special feature that I thought was pretty cool. All right, next up, let's get into, let's see, are we at the horror movies yet? Maybe. Yes, we got Serial Mom, a John Waters movie, you know, the Pope of Trash, you could say. Kathleen Turner in here, but I really like this one. You even got Matthew Lillard in this one, but this mom just goes completely psycho and starts taking out people. And it is so kind of bizarre, but it plays it in a whimsical kind of way with just the music that goes along with it. So, you know, it's completely a horror comedy. But yeah, I think you know, Scream Factory did a really good job on this title right here. So I can definitely appreciate some Serial Mom. If you're a basically slasher horror fan, I think you're gonna really like this one. It's a little bit of a different take on that subgenre. All right, next up, we got to have, out of my Nightmare on Elm Street collection, you're going to have Wes Craven's A New Nightmare. You got Wes Craven back, of course. You got Nancy back, but it really plays it as a meta story. You know, before we got the Deadpool movie, this one was completely fourth wall breaking. You're like, what is real? What isn't real? And then you see how it comes together all at the end. And, you know, the design of Freddy Krueger just so, you know, terrifying. And this one's super creepy, of course. So I love this franchise. So if you got one that came out in 94, you know, I got to shout that one out. Just happens to be Wes Craven's A New Nightmare. All right, let's get these. I got these stack of movies I got to organize right here. Okay, next up, we got to have Street Fighter. Yes, and I love this steelbook, by the way. You get some Bison Buck in there. But Street Fighter is such a fun kind of fighting fantasy movie. I really love Mortal Kombat, but after that, you got to go Street Fighter. I just love these characters. They pretty much pick every character out of the Street Fighter 2 video game and throw them in here. Does it make complete sense all the time? Not necessarily. Is it the best acting from everybody? Not necessarily, but it's still just as fun action fighting. It's awesome. You got Julia as the main Bison bad guy right there. You also have, Jean-Claude Van Damme as Guile. And I don't know, it's just fun to see them in this movie kicking all sorts of butt. So, yeah, Street Fighter, definitely really like this one. A lot of cheesiness to it. I love it. All right. Next up, we got to have, I guess, on to the more fancy, artistic, well known movies. We got The Shawshank Redemption. This movie was nominated for Best Picture, and you got Morgan Freeman in here, Tim Robbins, and they just have great chemistry in here. But you pretty much see how they're dealing with prison life and all this stuff that's going on around them. But then you got twists and turns at the end. I love the rain scene is really cool. Get busy living or get busy dying, right? Some good dialogue moments in this movie. So yeah, I really like this one. There's just some really good moments in here. I love kind of those prison escape type of movies. So The Shawshank Redemption, I really enjoy this one, and it gets better every time I rewatch it. You always pick up something new. So that's what I appreciate about this title here. All right, next up, we got to have another one nominated for Best Picture, I believe, and that's Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino, of course, directed this one. And yeah, this is a great kind of, I guess, thriller crime movie, you can say. So many different stories, but they're all tied together in some way or another. The editing's like out of order, so it's a different way. It's, Tarantino style where he really just kind of surprises you. He'll go forward, he'll go backwards, but by the end, it all does tie together, and that makes it a really unique experience. But you got a great cast in here. I mean, just too many to name, really. But I love the dance sequence, with John Travolta, of course. That's great. Samuel L. Jackson's fantastic in here as always. And like I said, just so many great characters. Bruce Willis in this one, and it goes on and on. I just love the way this movie looks, production, set, costume design, just all totally works. So if you're into crime dramas, you got to check out some Pulp Fiction. Just really well done. All right, next up, we got to have Speed. Yes, Speed is awesome. A great action thriller with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. And I love their chemistry together in here. But you got this bus that's has to keep up this high octane speed or then it's going to explode. So it's that kind of story. The train sequence is really cool too. I love the opening sequence with the elevators as well. So a lot of intense moments in here, and it just gets your heart pumping. You're like, oh my gosh, edge of your seat. What's going to happen next? Explosions and things of that nature. So I really like this one quite a bit. It's probably one of my favorite just thriller intense movies of all time. So you got to recommend some Speed out there from this year. All right, and then we're going to get into drumroll. Number one is going to have to be, it's kind of like a box of chocolates, right? With these ranking lists, you never know what you're going to get. So you got to have that Forrest Gump in here. Yes, run, Forrest, run. So many great dialogue moments. I love the Forrest Gump character. It's about a simple person that makes super smart decisions. He doesn't do anything dumb in this movie. He just makes these amazing decisions to kind of create this life around him, go on these different ventures, get these relationships, these friends. Jenny in here is kind of like the villain for most of it, you could think of in a way, but it makes it interesting. I guess there is kind of a bittersweet, happy ending by the end of this one, but it just goes to so many different places. I mean, oh my gosh, it's like, retelling history where he meets the president, ping pong champion, Vietnam War. It just goes all over in this one. And I like how they're able to plug him into these historical events with those kind of visual effects that really seem seamless. How they are able to do that is miraculous. So the movie looks great. The movie sounds great. So many life lessons in here. And yeah, I really enjoy this one. So good. So good. Forrest Gump. I think most people will like this one, right? It's great. And great steelbook, by the way. I love the chocolate on the back. Yes, the chocolate's so good. But yeah, that is my number one pick for best movie at least my favorite movie from 1994. Of course, everybody has different opinions out there, but now I got to hear from you guys because this was just my own personal ranking list. I know everybody's list would be different because we all have different opinions. So definitely let me know your Rad 9 favorite movies from 1994 down below. Definitely shout out the Rad Pack and share it with them so they can get this out to the rest of the community, of course. And we'll just have a great time watching and talking them movies. And of course, you'll love this physical media ranking topic. I'm going to go ahead and put up the last Rad 9 challenge I completed, which was my favorite Rad 9 crushes out there growing up. So definitely mega smash that next video right now. And thank you so much, my Mega membership supporters. If you love talking and collecting movies, consider joining the Mega League of Film Fans through memberships to support content creation while gaining access to perks like shoutouts, exclusive videos, and future topic choices.